The process of making movies doesn't change regardless of the scale or whether you're making it independently or at a studio. It's like the actual nuts and bolts process, the way you use your creativity in that process, it's always going to be the same.
I was out here at the eastern pad. But that's
50 miles east.
from where we found him.
Hey,
Wait. Do you know where your parents are? Your family?
I guess he was on a picnic or a camping trip. He wandered off and got himself lost.
Been out in the woods, doing things his own way. Sounds like a boy after your own heart.
How long has he been out there?
6 years.
Nobody can survive in that forest for 6 years. At least not alone.
You'll see. I have Elliot.
Who's Elliot?
I think a lot of times when people might hear your name and are familiar with your work, they might think of films like Ain't Them Body Saints and A Ghost Story. And then when they discover that you also are behind Pete's Dragon, they might wonder, how does that fit into your body of work? So I am curious, though, how did you ultimately make that transition coming off something like Ain't Them Body Saints to find yourself pitching to Disney to, reinvent this classic tale, Pete's Dragon?
I think that all of the films we've made have been fairy tales to a large extent, including Ain't Them Body Saints. That was made to feel like a fairy tale. And I knew there would be like, if we did it, if we got the job and then if the movie got made, it would feel like something like out of left field. But from our perspective, it just fit right in with the type of movies we wanted to make. And we weren't sure if that was the movie we would get to make. We weren't at the point where we got the job. It was just to write it. We weren't going to, be involved with the production until later. And so, we felt that if we were able to write the movie we wanted to make, it would once people saw it, they would be like, oh, that's right in line with the other films that these guys have made, and fits right into that trajectory. And the finished product, I think, proves that. I think it's like very evident that this fits right inside the wheelhouse of our other films, even though it's meant for, way more people have seen Pete's Dragon than have seen any of our other movies combined. So it's weird that it's in some ways the outlier, but it's also definitely the most widely seen.
It was also interesting and purposeful that it was such, as you said, an outlier. It was defied expectations, which it's not like we were looking to do the opposite, but it was like, oh, that's a smart move because we can make whatever kind of movie. It's like there's no pigeonholing.
What was that like to go from these projects that you guys have been doing essentially on your own to this big studio project over in New Zealand? Was it a big jump, or was it pretty much what you're used to, just on a larger scale?
Yeah, I was shocked at how little it changed. The process changed. I was expecting there to be a level of gloss over the entire thing. And to be frank, I thought it would be easy. I was like, oh, this is great. We got, a fair amount of money. It's small for Disney, but gigantic for us. And we're working with kids, and they can only work a couple hours a day. So we're gonna have short days, and we're gonna be very relaxed. And it's not true whatsoever. It was like incredibly hard. And it felt as, like we were scraping by just as much as we were scraping by on a $12,000 movie like Saint Nick. Like, you're barely making your days. You barely have time for anything. And now I just know that's just how movies are. It doesn't matter what the scale is. And the equipment's all the same. Like everyone, on a movie like Saint Nick or Ghost Story, you have a much smaller crew, but you still have like the cinematographer and the gaffer, and you have someone who records sound, and sometimes those jobs get consolidated the smaller the budget gets, but you still have them, and then you got actors. And so it's all kind of the same thing.
An adventure?
What's that?
An adventure? You don't know what an adventure is? What we're on right now. Out here in the wild, not another soul in sight for hundreds of miles, just the stars to guide us.
Is it scary?
Well, that's the other thing about adventures. You gotta be brave. Are you brave?
Of course you are. I think you are the bravest boy I've ever met.
One of the things I love about this opening sequence is how you find beauty in a really tragic moment. And how did you find that moment to get us into the story and get us into it in such a way that it's not going to traumatize your audience? Because it really sets the tone for the whole film.